Austin Butler looked suave as he attended the Elvis screening, hosted by Warner Bros. and British GQ, at the Ham Yard Hotel on Monday night in London. The actor, 30, who plays the titular character, put on a dapper display in a black pinstripe suit which he layered above a white scoop neck t-shirt. Posing up a storm with Olivia DeJonge, 24, who plays his wife Priscilla in the biopic, she flashed her midriff in a tight black maxi dress with a semi-transparent cutout. She added inches to her enviable frame with a pair of towering charcoal heels while her sandy curls tumbled over her shoulder. Director Baz Luhrmann also sported a black suit while Yola, sister Rosetta Tharpe, put on an eye-popping display in an orange silk gown. Nkuti Gatwa, who is set to become the new Doctor Who, looked suave in a grey Burberry jacket featuring an oversized black collar. He layered the number beneath a grey knitted sweater and a white polo neck top while donning a pair of khaki trousers. Rafferty Law put on a smart display in a brown suit while Zoe Zimmer flashed her midriff in a black crop top and leather trousers. Jude's son wore a black t-shirt beneath his blazer and accessorized with a gold chain necklace. Sabine Getty showed off her toned waistline in a form-fitting black top while Pegah Pourmond exhibited her toned legs in a white blazer mini dress. Charithra Chandran put on an unmissable display in a green miniskirt and a black top, which she layered beneath a leather jacket. Harris Reed nailed 70s chic in a pair of black flared jeans and Ben Hardy wore an oversized striped navy shirt and cream jacket. Earlier in the evening, Tom and Austin joined hosts Emma Willis and Jermaine Jenas ahead of the forthcoming biopic of the King of Rock and Roll. As he takes on the titular role, Austin spoke of his all-consuming approach in taking on such an iconic figure. He said, "I had about a year and a half before we started shooting. It feels like climbing Mount Everest. It's just so mammoth of a task, so, for me, I just had to take it one step at a time. I started with absorbing everything. I watched every bit of footage that's out there. I watched every interview of his during his entire career and read every book that was written on his life. Then I started to break it up into pieces, so it was figuring out how his voice changed over the years and obsessing about that. It became this 2-year obsession where I put the rest of my life on pause. I went through every bit of his being like that. From his spiritual evolution and the way that he moved and how that changed over the years. Really at the core of it all for me it was about stripping away the icon of Elvis or the caricature of him and getting down to the humanity of him. That's what I found really fascinating. Speaking about the performance nature of the role, taking to a stage and putting on a show as Elvis, Austin said, "I was really nervous for those performances because it's something I've never done before. I spoke to Rami Malek beforehand, and he told me, I believe those days will probably be the most fun days you have, and it turned out to be exactly that." The first performance we filmed was the '68 special and so I'm walking out in the black leather and I was so nervous beforehand. You do a year and a half of dedicating every day to this and suddenly here's the moment of truth, where I walk out there in front of everybody and it felt like my career was on the line. This job, it felt like everything was on the line in this moment. I had this moment alone before I went out there and I really just rested in the fact that it was a make or break moment in Elvis' life. His career was on the line, so, it wasn't a bad thing that I was experiencing that fear and I knew that he was feeling the same thing. I could just take that energy and do what he did, which was build a rapport with the audience. The film stars Austin and Tom, who plays his infamous manager Colonel Tom Parker. Speaking of his wife Rita Wilson's connection to Priscilla Presley, the Toy Story star said, "My wife knows Priscilla from some women's cancer funds they've done together." Priscilla and Jerry Schilling, who is in the movie, one of the original Memphis Mafia, came by the house. "I was anticipating hearing horror stories about the Colonel and I heard just the opposite. Jerry and Priscilla loved the Colonel. He said he was a wonderful man. He brightened up every room that he came into. Was he fishy with some of the money? Yeah, we had to sue him and he gave it up and we got it. It turned from a guy who was this Machiavellian puppet master who was just a fella who said, well, of course. I had a treasure trove of anecdotal information." There's a lot of excitement around the Elvis Presley biopic from Australia's Baz, who is hoping to recreate the buzz he generated when he brought the can to Cannes with Moulin Rouge 20 years ago. The film chronicles the life and career of Elvis from his early days as a child growing up in Mississippi to his ascent as a rock and roll icon and movie star, along with his complex relationship with his manager.